It's power and distance time. Let's do this. Welcome to A New Breed of Golf. I'm Michael Breed. So excited you can be joining me again this evening. And well done by all of you reaching out and staying a part of the show. I love seeing the swings. I love hearing your thoughts and the questions that you have. They're fantastic. Keep it up. Now, I told you we've been doing the hashtag Fix My Swing. We also did the hashtag Great Debate. What we want to do tonight is hashtag Not My Swing. This is where you've asked a question that doesn't necessarily pertain to your golf swing, but the golf swing. And so, want to take a little look at one of the questions that James sent in and remind you, please continue to be a part of the show. We love it. Keep the interaction coming. So let's take a little peek at what James wants to know about the golf swing.
Michael, hi. This is James Mormon. I have a question for you. So there seems to be a lot of debate these days in the teaching world. It means whether you should let your hips swing freely during the swing or whether you should restrict your hips to create more torque. Just concerned, wanted to know your opinion on what you think. I'm a little concerned that restricting the hips could cause some back issues, but also wanted to hear your hip, what you kind of teach, whether you teach to swing your hips freely or to restrict them to create the torque. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so a really interesting question. Does restricting the hips create too much torque and does it hurt the back? Is torque a necessary thing? Am I going to lose distance? Am I not going to lose distance? There's all these things that you're wondering about. James isn't the only guy who's got this question, and it's a fantastic question. So let me show you what I'm talking about and what he's talking about. First of all, what he wants to know is that if he restricts his hips, is he in fact restricting a range of motion? And then secondly, is he, when he restricts his hips, is he putting a little stress or strain on the back? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what he's talking about. So we'll create a little bit of a hip line. So this is what my hips are going to look like. This is my shoulder line. Now, when I make a backswing, what he's saying is, should I in the backswing restrict the amount of hip turn that I get? Is that going to hurt my back? The answer is no, it's not going to hurt your back. All it's going to do is restrict the amount of turn that you get, right? If my hips don't move and I rotate my upper body in this fashion, I probably have about a 35-degree range of motion with my upper body. I need my hips to move a little bit so that my shoulders can move a little bit. If I don't let my hips move, and I'll show you that in a second, I'm going to start to lose some swing speed and I'm going to lose ball speed, which is ultimately what we're paying attention to. But where you do want to have some torque and some separation between hips and shoulders is in the downswing. So when I get back to here, no matter whether I've had a lot of hip turn or a little bit of hip turn, what I need to have happen is this action right here. This action of the hips opening before the shoulders in the downswing. What that does is it creates a little bit of pull on the body. It sort of flings the arms and the chest and the hands into an orbit, and it throws the club head into a greater club head speed. And ultimately, if we hit the ball solidly, we gain a little bit of distance. Now, where you're going to hurt the back, James, is when we get a little bit of side bend. So this is what we call forward bend. If I have a down the line shot, forward bend is literally where I'm just bringing the PVC pipe of my upper body towards the PVC pipe of the lower body. It's kind of getting closer to the ground. Side bend is where I'm actually tilting my right shoulder or trail shoulder to the back. So you can see how this part of the PVC pipe is closer to the hip part of the PVC pipe. Look at how wide it is over here and how narrow it is over there. That's side bend. So when I start to get a lot of side bend, that's when I start impinging the back or creating some issues with the back. Now, we do have side bend in a golf swing, and that side bend is going to happen when we start to rotate into the backswing, where we create a little bit of side bend. We then start to get into forward bend, and then we start working into side bend. And as we get excessive side bend, that's when we start getting into some problems. So let me take this off, and I'm going to show you about what would happen when we create a restriction with the hips in the backswing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my feet and flare it out. That's going to restrict my hips from turning in either direction. So now what I'm going to do is I'm really going to swing pretty much, not quite as hard as I can, but as hard as I would with an iron. So that's about as hard as I can swing with my 6-iron. And as we go up to this shot up here, let's just take a little look at the ball speed. And the ball speed right there is around 100 miles an hour. It's 100.6. Okay, round up, 101. That's the ball speed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a little bit more freedom in what we're doing with our hips, and we're going to see what happens with the speed of the golf ball. So in this particular situation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my hips really rotate in the backswing, and then I'm just going to keep them at the same rate of speed as the upper body in the downswing. So I'm creating great range of motion, both hips and shoulders. And let's watch what happens. So that time I let both the hips and the shoulders move at the same rate of speed. And we'll take a quick walk up here, and that's about as fast as I could go. And look at what happened. I lost ball speed. I got to 91.5 in the ball speed. So getting a great range of motion with the lower body and a great range of motion with the upper body, and then timing them and moving them together also doesn't create a lot of club head speed. In order for us to create club head speed, we have to get that separation, but it has to happen in the downswing, not necessarily in the backswing. So when I get set up here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a lot of hip turn in the backswing, and then I'm going to let my hips start the downswing. And watch how the ball speed's going to pick up here. So now, and I got a little bit of a miss hit on that one. That was a little bit off the bottom of the club, a little bit thin, and my ball speed went to 116. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to let the hips start forward. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to not let them turn quite so much in the backswing. Just a normal motion for me, which will be about a 45-degree hip turn. And then the hips are going to start the downswing. And now what you can see is that I hooked that, but I really struck that solidly. And watch what happens to the ball speed. Let's go up here. Remember, we were dealing with 101 in that ball speed when we had the hips doing a no move. And then when we gave them a lot of move, I had 91. And now what we did was we let them turn a little bit, 45 degrees, didn't restrict them, but created that separation in the downswing. And look at what happened. I got 126.6. So let's round that up to 127. So, James, wonderful question here. And for all of you at home, here's the question. Should I let my hips move? Should I not let my hips move? What should I do? The answer to the question is you want to have the freedom in the backswing. So let them move a little bit, give them some range of motion, but make sure that when you start the downswing that you're letting those hips rotate out of the way. A wonderful drill for you to do is to just stand here like this with your arms crossed and just feel your hips rotating in this fashion. Teach yourself how to learn how to let your hips rotate in this fashion. When you do that, I'm going to hit one more here. When you do that, what you're going to get is you're going to start to get some real club head speed and a lot of distance. Now there was a really good swing, timed that out nicely. Did it carry farther than the? Yes, it did. And 125 miles an hour ball speed. That's how you're going to create some speed. Hey, James, great job on that hashtag Not My Swing. And all of you at home, keep it up. Keep it coming. Send the hashtag Not My Swing, hashtag Fix My Swing, hashtag Great Debate, and the hashtag You Bet. That's how you're going to be a part of the show. We love having you being a part of the show, and we'll see you next week.